Good morning, Anne Arundel County. Good morning, America. Welcome to Promoting Don't Get Fooled Again with Class. I'm your host, Anthony Bynum. The name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. There are a lot of exciting things going on with the Glen Burnie Players. Let me just mention a couple of them. First, episode 7 of Don't Get Fooled Again is about to go into post-production. Within the next 2 weeks, we'll have it out ready for post-production, and just stay tuned for that next exciting episode. Also, it's important to note that all of us need a time to unwind, a time to relax. We all need some emotional rescue. So at the very end of this show, there'll be a little clip. Get a chance to clip on it. You'll get a chance to see what we're talking about. So let's start with today's show. Last week, I had the opportunity to watch the movie, The Big George Foreman Story, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So let's take a look at the fundamentals. We talk a little bit about George Foreman's life. He's still with us, by the way. He's 74 years old. He was born January 10th, 1949 in Marshall, Texas. He's the father of 12 children, 12. George has had a remarkable life. He is a definition of reinvention. He started off growing up in a very poor house, very poor home, and he was a troubled youth. He got in trouble a lot. He was a big guy, but he got in trouble a lot doing things he should not have been doing. But things turned around after he got involved with boxing. He learned a trade that was going to change his life. George Foreman competed in the 1968 Olympics, and he won the gold medal. He fought hard. He was very good. Nobody could beat him. Very methodical style, but he just was a heavy puncher. He took on the then heavyweight champion of the world at that time, Joe Frazier. They called him Joe Smoking Frazier. And he beat him 1971. He was a heavyweight champion. It was not until 1974 in what they call the Rumble in the Jungle, which was a fight held in Zaire, Africa, where George Foreman lost to Muhammad Ali. Now, back in those days, George Foreman was known as an aloof kind of person. He didn't really talk to the press all that much. He was not an outgoing kind of guy. Losing to Muhammad Ali was a very humbling experience for him. In fact, he continued to box, but a couple of years later, he was defeated by Jimmy Young, and he stopped boxing. In fact, he had a near-death experience, and it just changed his life. He became a Christian minister. He formed a church. He also had a youth center, which he stressed a chance for kids to get off the streets and learn some discipline. Boxing was a big part of that. But there was a need. There was a financial need, actually, to go back into the ring. He started, after 10 years after losing the heavyweight title to Muhammad Ali, he started this incredible comeback. Everyone thought it was a joke, but he was beating everybody. And his attitude changed, too. He became an outgoing kind of guy. He became the people's champion. He talked, he did interviews, he did a little television. In fact, his boxing style changed somewhat. A lot of that anger, a lot of that frustration from his early childhood that he brought into the ring with him, that was gone. That was gone. And with that, he developed more, he could stay in the ring longer. He could stay in the ring longer. So he had a shot at the heavyweight championship. He actually lost to Evander Holyfield, who was the champ at that time. But it was a close fight. It was very close. And he got another bite at the apple. Michael Moore became the heavyweight champion. As with most heavyweight champions, they want a chance to cash in. Everyone knew who George Foreman was, so he gave him a shot. Michael Moore was 26 at that time. By all accounts, Michael Moore was devastating George Foreman, devastating the guy. But he couldn't knock him out. I think it was ring 8, maybe ring 9. Round 8 or round 9, George Foreman landed a punch, and down went Michael Moore. and George Foreman was the heavyweight champion of the world at 45. Wow, 20 years after winning it. These are things that will never happen again. So they've happened in our lifetime. It's an incredible story about somebody of great faith who developed that faith over time. The big George Foreman story. Wow. Yeah. So let's move on. Next, we want to talk about a location in Anne Arundel County. Remember, we always want to make note of some of the greatness of the county. And in this particular piece, we're going to look at Annapolis Junction. Now, Annapolis Junction is an unincorporated town. It was first settled in 1650. It was surveyed by the Honorable Henry Ridgely. Actually, the town was first called Ridgely Forest. It was a rail link, or rail junction, actually, for the north-south line of the Baltimore-Ohio Railroad. Part of his claim to fame was when Abraham Lincoln was elected president, there was a plot to assassinate the newly elected president. Mr. Lincoln, or President-elect Lincoln, rode very quietly through Annapolis Junction on his way to Washington, D.C. for the inauguration. Poems and speeches. I must admit, I'm becoming a big fan of Emily Dickerson. I'm becoming a big fan of hers. This is the second poem that we've read for the show, done by Emily Dickerson. This one is called Gratitude. Actually, it's called Gratitude is Not the Mention. That's the actual name. Gratitude is not the mention of a tenderness, but is appreciation out of plumb of speech. When the sea returned no answer by the line and lead, proves it there no sea, or rather, a remote bed. She just had a way with words. Now that was available through the poemsoup.com organization. So we want to thank them for that. We always give credit where credit's due. In fact, much of the information we got from big George Foreman was through Wikipedia. So thank you for that also. So the big takeaway, episode 7, Don't Get Fooled Again, is right around the corner. And there's a link at the end of this post for some emotional rescue. So until next time, this is Anthony Bynum. Bye-bye.